This is the Dometic RM8505 three-way fridge. It has the ability to run on shore power, propane, or battery. If you set it on auto mode, it'll detect the preferred source to draw from in this order. Power from shore is preferred over propane, over battery. So right now I have my van hooked up through an EMS in a plug in my garage. I'm in my driveway, just to demonstrate the preferred source of power that the fridge will use. So I'll turn this on and it'll sense which is best with the auto enabled, and it'll pick shore. There we go. So it prefers shore power if one is available. So now I'm going to do a similar demo. I'm going to unplug from shore, and it'll sense again, and it'll prefer propane over battery. Now the fridge is off. I've unhooked from shore power. Just to note, my propane toggle switch is currently off, and it has no bearing on whether the fridge will attempt to fire up propane or not, because there's gas left in the line. So it'll light with whatever fuel is in the line. Eventually, when it runs out, it'll start beeping, unless you turn your LP gas toggle switch on, which I'll do after. Sensing available sources. It doesn't have shore, so now it's going to light up the fridge via propane. If you're at the back of your fridge, you should hear the striker going. So why don't we go there now? There we go. You can see the flame is on. So the fridge is working off propane right now, even if the switch is off. Just to show you, the switch is definitely off. So while we're in here, let's have a look at the systems. So you can see propane coming into the fridge. We can see the DC source connections here, and if you look carefully, you'll see where the AC plug is. Now this is an technically outside plug. The fridge is controlled by a ground fault circuit interrupter, which is just down here below the driver's side ottoman. This is the way to reset and test, which basically will trip a breaker or equivalent thereof. So if you find that you're connected properly on shore power, your receptacles, your TV, your microwave are all working, but your fridge isn't, this is the first place to check. Has this tripped? And if it has, reset it. If it trips again, stop and go have a look at what might be causing it. It could be water coming in, moisture coming into the outside plug. So deal with that first. As soon as you start the engine, the fridge will sense electrical current coming into the battery via the alternator, and it'll switch to battery. And that's essentially to make sure you're not running propane while driving. So you want to also take a second every time you're departing to turn off your LP propane toggle switch in the utility cabinet. You have a grace period of about 15 minutes when you stop your engine, where it'll stay on battery, and then it'll sense for another power source. This clip, I'm going to show the fridge moving from propane to battery as soon as I start the engine. And as I mentioned, when I stop the engine, we have a grace period of about 15 minutes before it goes back from battery to propane, as long as we're in auto mode. So best to leave it in auto mode, and the fridge will sense where to get its best source from. So here goes. beeping you're hearing is my my van's ignition warning because I don't have my seatbelt on. So you can see it switched very easily from propane to battery. Engine's still running. Now I'm going to turn off the ignition and it'll sit there on battery for about 15 minutes. Engine's off. I'm not going to film 15 minutes, but what I'll do is I'll time it and I'll cut out the long part waiting for 15 minutes. Assuming you've just stopped for lunch or for shopping or sightseeing or whatever, just leave it on auto, and within about 15 minutes it'll switch from battery to propane. Make sure your LP propane switch is on and everything will be good. If you leave it on battery, it'll drain your battery after a few hours of running. And if you're camping, this usually wakes you up in the middle of the night because you've depleted your batteries. And you're going to hear beeping, but it'll be from your carbon monoxide detector because it's running out of power.